failed former President Donald Trump's brain proverbially, metaphorically leaking out of his head in a new Newsmax interview, admitting to crimes, suggesting Joe Biden was on some kind of drug at the State of the Union speech. And this is what it looks like when you are an egomaniacal narcissist who's been told yes your entire life and are throwing a temper tantrum for years because you genuinely lost in November of 2020. The interview, again, as I mentioned on Newsmax, here is Trump saying, I've been right about everything. Isn't humility a great thing, my friends?
I mean, you've been right a lot, but nobody's right all the time. Is there such a thing as overconfidence? Are you, at this point, tough to advise? Or, I know you got great advisors, but did you learn some negative lessons by being right when they were wrong? And you might think, well, I'm always right. They must always be wrong.
Well, they do have a hat on, and I don't produce it. Somebody else. Trump was right about everything. I mean, if you look at all of these many, many things, I've been right about everything. I've been right about immigration.
There you go. I mean, just a really humble and taking different views into account. He has been right about absolutely everything. Concerningly, Donald Trump continuing his bromance with Viktor Orban, the Hungarian strongman authoritarian borderline dictator. Here he is talking about how great he is.
Viktor Orban, a couple of news items, if you don't mind. Viktor Orban said that you told him that you want to cut funding for Ukraine as soon as you get there. Where's to that effect? He said that in an interview.
Yeah.
Is he correct? Is that the plan?
Well, first of all, he's a fantastic guy.
Tremendous.
He's taken in no illegal immigrants. He runs his country very tough, and a lot of people don't like it, but he runs it very tough, and it does.
Trump always impressed with the toughness of dictators and wannabe dictators.
Very well, and there's no crime. They don't have, when you look at what's happening in our country, where there's crime on every street corner and murder, death all over the place, and it's going to get a lot worse because of the migrants coming in. You know, millions and millions of people coming out of prisons and coming out of mental institutions, and they're all coming in to the United States. We had a great time. We had dinner. We get along very well. But what I told him is Europe is spending a tiny fraction of what we're spending. And the European.
All right. So the answer here is Trump doesn't directly say, but Orban's claim is Trump told me he wouldn't give a penny to Ukraine if he became president. And Trump is super impressed with Orban. And he doesn't like that other countries aren't giving what Trump believes would be their fair share. Trump then admitting to crimes, saying, listen, I took the documents and I took them legally and I had a bunch of boxes. But of course, that is the crime. That it's not up. Trump claims that it was all legal. It wasn't. And so really it's about, did Trump take it? And he says, yes, I did.
I took them very legally, and I wasn't hiding them. We had boxes on the front of and a lot of those boxes had clothing, and we're moving out. Okay,
so legal.
Unfortunately, we're moving out of the White House. And because we're moving out of the White House, our country's going to hell. But we weren't hiding anything.
It wasn't just legal. Understand that it was very legal. And of course, it was not by any stretch of the understanding of what the law is. Trump then suggesting that during the State of the Union speech, President Joe Biden was on some kind of drug because he was jacked up. And you've got to wonder what's going on. This is just Trump repeating the talking points from Fox News and elsewhere that Biden clearly was on something.
Gets up and makes a speech the other day. He's screaming at everybody like a lunatic. And everybody said, oh, he made it. You know, he made it through, barely. He made it through the speech, and he was all jacked up. And you just wonder what's going on. This is a very dangerous time for our country.
You got to wonder what was going on. He was jacked up. It just doesn't make any sense. Newsmax asking Trump the really tough question of whether it ever gets lonely at the top for him. And Trump has to one up and compare himself to Andrew Jackson. This guy was the president of the United States.
Mr. President, I'm very curious about what it's like for you, your life. You know, no one's gone through what you've gone through. Nobody in human history has really, and I know you have supporters.
By the way, these questions would make North Korean propagandists blush.
Friends, family, they say it's lonely at the top. And I'm actually curious, is it ever lonely for you? I mean, no one can fully relate to what you've been through and what you're going through. Are you ever lonely?
So over the years, I love history. I study history.
That's a funny state. He loves history. The only book we are aware of him even owning is Hitler's speeches.
And I was always told that Andrew Jackson, as a president, was treated the absolute worst. He was just really lambasted. And I heard Abraham Lincoln was second, but he was in a thing called the Civil War, so you can understand that. But Andrew Jackson was really, really treated badly. In fact, his wife died during the process. I mean, a lot of people say she died because of the way they were treated. I mean, she was heartbroken and broken in so many other ways. And I heard that for years. And I look now, even last night I was saying it, I said, I don't care, Andrew Jackson or anybody else, nobody has, when you think of the fake things, nobody's been treated like Trump in terms of badly.
Trump's been treated the worst. Andrew Jackson, they used to say, but Trump really has been treated the worst of anybody. Professional victim, no personal responsibility, professional victim. Everything that's happened to him is because of someone else's fault. Trump was asked, do you have any advice for Hunter Biden? This is pretty interesting.
Hunter Biden is saying he's not going to go to the hearing he's been invited to. And look, you give him a hard time, and he deserves a hard time, but imagine you ran into Hunter.
By the way, the planes flying overhead, this is an ongoing thing down at Mar-a-Lago. This, we know, makes Trump furious. And every longer form interview, you hear planes flying over Mar-a-Lago. It's just a delightful little detail.
Biden say here in Palm Beach, for some reason, some crazy coincidence, and you weren't talking politics. I know that you know about addiction from your brother Fred. You've spoken about that. Just, is there anything you would tell Hunter, because his dad apparently, the president, is worried about him relapsing? Any kind of advice or encouragement that somebody like you could give to Hunter Biden?
Right.
Well, I think what's happened is, they went after the president of the United States, and I guess Republicans went after them. And I think it's a very bad, the whole thing is very bad. There's never been anything like what's happening right now.
If you're wondering where the comfort is coming from Trump, because as you know, when people need advice, life advice, comfort, etc., Trump's a great person to go to for empathy. You're going to be waiting a while for it.
They go after a political opponent. When I say they, I'm talking about Biden. He's going after his political opponent. I think that's made, and without even knowing it maybe, I think it's made Republicans very angry. The Hunter Biden stuff is bad, let's face it. And if you believe the laptop from hell, there's a lot of money that's been exchanged, and it's a lot of money and seems like a lot of proof. Right. They're going to find out, and they certainly have found out, because, look, a lot of money has been exchanged, and from a lot of different countries, including China, and that's serious stuff.
So not exactly inspiring advice there. Trump asked, how will you reach Democratic voters? Which is a very interesting question. I mean, let's see if Trump even thinks that he needs to reach Democratic voters.
Right now.
Yeah.
The other night I saw you, I guess it was Saturday night, you said, I reached my hand out to Democrats right now if you want to join us. And that was beautiful. But it was in the middle of a rally that the other side's not seeing. Networks aren't carrying it. To reach out to them, to the people who've been lied to about you, how are you going to do that? And are you going to show another side to yourself or change anything?
So during my tenure, we had the most successful economy in history. And it's very interesting. I was called, all of a sudden, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, women, men, with diploma, without diploma. Everybody was doing great. And I was seeing real success, and I was being called by some very liberal or progressive, you want to use the term, they don't like liberal anymore, but I'll call them whatever.
So I'm not going to play 4 minutes of him doing this. Needless to say, when asked how will you be reaching out to those who maybe aren't already on your side, he says the exact same stuff he said leading up to the 2020 election, none of which helped him win. So I guess he has no plan for reaching out to Democrats other than they should recognize everything was great for them when I was president, and they should just know to vote for me. Interestingly, Newsmax asking Trump, how do you grieve for your dead friends and family members? Potentially a sort of humanizing moment. Let's see what Trump said.
Experience loss like anybody else.
Yeah.
You lost your brother over the past couple of years, your sister, your late wife, Ivana. How do you grieve? Because you were like right back at work. You had to be. And it's hard to conceive somebody like you shedding tears. And I'm curious as...
You're too manly to cry. God, can they go 2 minutes without reinforcing whatever toxic stereotype is on their mind? They can't even go 2 minutes.
Did it happen then? Has it happened?
So I don't like to do it. When you lose somebody, it's very tough. I lost my mother-in-law very recently. She was a great woman. She was a very beautiful woman, inside and out. And she died. And I will tell you, it's a tough thing. I don't like to show that. I don't like to see it.
But you have.
A lot of people, sure you do. I mean, you do when you lose somebody that you really love. My sister, my brother, when you lose your parents. It's a very tough thing. And I find nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with crying, but I don't like to do it. They wait around waiting for me to cry, the fake news media. And so I'll do it. Listen, I'll do it if I have to, but it's not something I love doing, really. I just, it's not for me.
But I don't like to do it in public. Now, I have to tell you something. Sometimes I don't think you can really help it. And that's okay too.
All right. So Trump's view on grieving and crying is he doesn't like to do it. Sometimes you can't help it. He certainly doesn't like doing it in private. What a weird interview. And then lastly, Trump bringing up, of course, the foremost issue on the minds of voters, Hillary Clinton's emails. And again, he talks about BleachBit, which is software. He seems to still think that Hillary Clinton literally bleached her emails.
It's egregious what he did. But by the way, they released Hillary Clinton. She hammered her phones. She used all sorts of acid testing and everything else. They call it BleachBit, but it's essentially acid that will destroy everything, within 10 miles.
Right.
I mean, what she did was unbelievable.
It's almost like chemical weapons that Hillary Clinton used on her emails. Again, just a reminder, BleachBit is software. It wipes data from a hard drive. It's not literal bleach. It's not acid. And she wasn't cleaning hard drives with bleach or acid. So a bizarre interview, not exactly projecting a different approach to 2024 than we saw in 2020. The good news is he lost with this approach in 2020, so hopefully he'll lose with it again in 2024. Let's take a very quick break and we'll be back right after this. For years now, I have been using a Ridge wallet. I've had a Ridge wallet at this point way before they became a sponsor. They are celebrating their 11th anniversary. A Ridge wallet can hold up to 12 cards plus your cash, and it stays flat and comfortable in your pocket. So much slimmer than anything I've used. I don't want to throw my back off kilter like happened to George Costanza with one of those oversized wallets. So this is great. You can choose from over 30 colors and styles, including ceramic powder and leather. It was designed with RFID blocking materials to protect you from any digital thievery. And Ridge even gives you the option of adding a little AirTag strap to the wallet, so you'll never lose it again. Ridge also offers awesome key cases, which can be used to secure 1 to 6 keys and, importantly, prevent the keys from jingling. Ridge has over 3 million customers, over 100,000 5-star reviews. It's the wallet I've been using for years now. And if you don't love your Ridge product, you can send it back for a full refund up to a full year after you buy it. Comes, of course, with a lifetime warranty because of the extra durable material. You'll get up to 30% off until April 1st at ridge.com/Pacman. The link is down below.